The worst thing is when you've gone through the day, you look in the mirror and you can see that your foundation has settled into fine lines, lines that maybe you didn't even know you had, by the way, or it starts kind of like splitting or separating and you're like, what is going on? This looks horrendous. All of a sudden, you just feel like you want to go home and wash your face. Like you'd probably be better off just taking it all off. I'm going to be breaking down today exactly why this happens and what you can do to avoid it so that you have a fresh, smooth base that lasts all day. If you're new here, my name's Nina. I'm a celebrity makeup artist and beauty educator, and I've been doing it for over 2 decades. So I've got a lot to share with you, a lot of experience based on hundreds and hundreds of different faces, ages, skin types, and everything. So I'm really excited to share with you exactly how you can stop everything like your base from sinking into your pores and just making it look really horrible, and just make everything look fresh and youthful. Let's talk about exactly why foundation actually settles into your fine lines and makes your pores look even more visible. Firstly, it could be that your skin is not balanced. If your skin is dehydrated or even over moisturized, that can actually end up making the foundation not grip hold properly onto your skin. So what happens is if your skin's dehydrated, it's kind of sinking into the dryness and then just making the dryness look more obvious. Or it could be that it's just sliding all over the place because it's over moisturized. And then in turn, that can end up like kind of settling into fine lines and everything. It could be that you've got generally enlarged pores for whatever reason. It could be that you've got excessive oiliness in your skin or anything else that has caused enlarged pores. Even like say previous acne can cause that kind of like look to your pores, which I personally have as well, which then in turn can end up being like looking like basically texture that you don't like, or your pores are obvious and things like that. So if you're not addressing those issues with your skincare and you just go straight in thinking foundation is going to cover everything, that can actually end up making it look worse. So it's really about making sure that you're targeting the skin issues that you have first with the correct skincare before you even think about what your foundation is going to do for you. If you love this video so far, I'd really appreciate if you could hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell button so that you don't miss some of our next best videos coming up. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it actually really does help this channel out. Let's talk about how skin prep done correctly can actually end up preventing all of this kind of like settling into fine lines and making your pores look obvious. Now, I have nothing on my face. It's been freshly washed and dried. You've always got to start on clean skin. Now, I am going to first off apply my serum. Currently, I'm using my COSRX, the 6-peptide skin booster, which is absolutely amazing. I just had a facial yesterday, so my skin is feeling and looking actually really good, to be honest with you. But this is something that I absolutely love because the fact that I'm using tretinoin on my skin, which does help with the texture and pores, means that my skin can be a little bit dehydrated. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, dehydration in your skin can also end up enhancing lines. So that's another issue that I have. So I make sure I really do get, all this just went everywhere. I really make sure that I get my kind of, all the ingredients that my skin really does need, like the hydrating ingredients with this product, which is really good for me. I let that dry down, and then in the meantime, I use my eye cream because that's on a different area. This is my MAC Hyper Real Serumizer Eye Treatment. I feel like this is an area that a lot of people forget about because you're kind of like, well, I don't actually know why, because I would not forget about this area. Now, the next step is making sure that you let each layer wait. Wait until it's fully dry before you move on to the next layer. The reason being is because if you just start mixing everything together, I've said this a million times in my videos, it really does make a difference on how your base sits on your face. So this is actually dried down now, so I'm gonna go straight with my moisturizer, which is my Calm Keto Cream. You can use the code SHOPNINA. I'm just gonna pat this in. We're going to wait for this to dry before we apply the next layer. The reason for that is because you don't want your base to slide around on a wet layer, and that's the worst thing that could happen because then it's just not going to settle down in your skin. You've not let every layer just kind of like just calm down and get used to the skin. Let it get used to its position, right? So this is kind of like settled down now, so I'm going to go in with my SPF. Now I'm using the 11 Skin, I always forget the 1 out, it's 111 Skin Repair Sunscreen. This sunscreen has been amazing. I have to say that this is probably I just love how it sits under makeup, and it obviously gives me the protection that I need. And I like the way it makes my skin look before I even go in with makeup. Now, I just want to say that this actually helps to repair your skin the more you use it as well. So it's definitely an SPF that I would recommend. I just want to talk about primers while we let this settle down into the skin. Now, primer isn't mandatory, in my opinion, but I do like to wear it primarily because it's a barrier between my skincare and my makeup. So it really allows my skincare to lock in, and it's just something there before I go in with my makeup. That's my main reason. But obviously it can be used for the main reason, which is to kind of like target issues that your skin may have, to try and smooth out texture, to try and mattify skin that's prone to oiliness, to keep shine at bay. It could be to just give you that extra hydration boost that you need. So it really depends on what you're looking for. If you don't have a specific problem that you're trying to correct with primer, then I would still recommend using primer just as the barrier there between your skincare and makeup. It's actually been a game changer for me. I've been doing it for years and it really does help. Now, I am going to use a specific primer today. I'm using my Milk Hydro Grip. I really do like the way that this kind of lets the foundation grip hold of this. So I'm going to smooth this over. Now, while we're letting this settle down, let me just explain what kind of primers I'd recommend for each skin type. For dry skin, I'd recommend hydrating primers or glowy primers, something that's going to bring that radiance back and give you that extra hydration that your skin needs. For oily or textured skin, I'd recommend a blurring or pore minimizing primer. That's really going to help to grip foundation in place. Combination skin, it's really about targeting the areas that require a specific solution. So if you deal with shiny skin along the T-zone, I'd recommend something that's mattifying or blurring. And if you deal with dryness around the cheek areas, then apply a hydrating primer there. There's nothing wrong with doing a bit of mix and match with your primers. It's really about targeting the areas of concern with the correct solution. I just want to add here, because I think that there's a bit of a misconception when it comes to primers. Primers are not there to extend the life of your base for the day. It's there to create balance and harmony between your skincare and your makeup. Now let's talk about the actual foundation application so we can avoid everything looking kind of like obvious on the fine lines and the open pores. So right now we've let that primer settle down onto the skin. Everything's ready. We've given every layer enough time to settle down. So this is like the perfect kind of base prep before you go into your foundation. Now, when it comes to using your foundation, it isn't necessarily about using the right or wrong foundation. That does make a difference, but a lot of it has to do with your technique as well. Like, how are you applying it? It's the one area that people tend to go wrong. Start thin. I've said this before in different ways in different videos, but start thin with your layer. Okay, I'm using my Dior Forever Matte foundation. Now I've got my BK Beauty 106 brush. I'm going to go into this foundation, but I'm really getting it into the brush, and you want to get a really thin base everywhere. So now this next piece of advice I'm going to give you is to press and don't rub. I'm not saying that no one can go like that on their skin. This video is specifically for people who struggle with foundation settling in fine lines and making your pores look even more obvious. So if that is an issue for you, then I would always recommend pressing and not rubbing. Now, always start from the center and work your way out. But you also don't want to get a lot of product in those areas, so just keep it thin. It's just really important that you don't go in with a whole load of foundation. That's why when I have a pump of foundation on my hand, I'm not using all of it. I'm literally using the smallest amount, and I should always be left over with some, because I'll tell you what you do with that leftover foundation. Right now, I've got a really thin layer. If I was to go across with my finger like that, I'm not going to take a whole load off. That's how thin the layer is. It should just give you a veil of colour. There you go. Thin layer of foundation is the first step. Now, the next step is to build where you need it. Now, don't forget, and this is something I feel like a lot of people forget, is that you've still got to go in with your concealer, right? So they forget, they're trying to get all the coverage and everything they need with the foundation when they haven't even applied the concealer yet. And I can guarantee you that most of the time, you don't need concealer on most areas of your face other than the eye area where we have the dark circles. When your dark circles are still visible like this, it ends up kind of almost like tricking your eyes a little bit, because it gives you, it kind of makes you feel like something's not right on the face, but you're forgetting that you need to cover those dark circles. The minute you cover those dark circles, everything else on the face will actually probably look a lot better. So don't start thinking that, okay, I need to add more foundation here or more foundation here. Really, you've probably just got to deal with those dark circles and then you're good to go. So don't go all in with your foundation. Try and keep it as light as possible. If you feel like you do need to build it in certain areas, maybe you've got like kind of acne scarring or anything like that, don't forget you still have your concealer to go to. But if you do want to only use foundation, then you can build it up with a little bit of leftover foundation on your hand and just do another really thin layer. But I would not go in heavy with your foundation. So right now I'm going to get my concealer. Now you can choose whatever concealer you feel is right for you. I like using the Tarte Shape Tape. Some people find that heavy, but honestly, I really feel like once you get the technique right, then it's a game changer. But it really is down to what you prefer. If you prefer something a little bit lighter, go for that. If you want something as good as the Tarte Shape Tape and you just can't seem to get the hang of Tarte Shape Tape when it comes to the application, because there is a very specific way to apply it, then I would suggest going for something that is very close to it, but easier to blend and not as heavy. And that is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I think that's a really great alternative to Tarte Shape Tape. It doesn't dry as quick. Coverage is probably a notch down from Tarte Shape Tape, but still amazing. It's very fluid and elastic on the skin, so it's not something that's going to, you know, like it doesn't stay in place immediately. You can really move it around a bit, but it's such a great concealer. It's very, very close to Tarte Shape Tape. So I'm going to use my 35N medium. Now I'm just going to add this to the back of my hand. I get a really thin layer there, like that. It's not a lot. It's not gloopy, it's a very, very thin layer. And then what I do is I get all these other things ready. So I've got my powder ready, which is my Huda Beauty Easy Bake in banana bread. I then get my sponge ready and my powder puff. My sponge is my beauty blend and my powder puff is my Makeup by Mario Master Pro Puff. Now I also get my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. There's two different sprays here. One I would recommend for people who are dealing with dehydrated skin. Use the original, right? That's great. I'm not using this for setting, by the way. This is like just because it actually does help to kind of almost, I would say that I don't rely on these setting sprays to set my base as a whole, but I rely on them to set individual layers because you're not asking it to do too much then. Do you see what I mean? You're asking it to just deal with that individual layer and that's enough for that. So if you are dealing with oily skin or combination, I'd recommend the other spray, which is the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Blur Spray. So I'm actually going to use the Matte Blur today because I have more combination skin. So what I'm going to do is spray this like that. Just a couple of sprays. Then I'm going to go into my concealer there on the back of my hand. And then now I am just going to go onto my lids. You'll find that this spray kind of almost makes the sponge feel a little bit sticky. It's like you've got the Milk Hydro Grip on it. That's how it feels. Okay, can you see the eyelids are done now? Let's just set that really quickly. So I'm going to go into my powder with my powder puff. This whole technique is going to help your foundation concealer to stay put all day as well. Got the brush, nothing on it. And then just dust away this powder. There you go. Eyelids are done. Let's work on the under eye circles now because that in itself is probably going to make you feel like you actually didn't need, it's going to make you feel like you actually probably didn't need extra foundation. We're going to get our concealer. We're going to apply it as normal, get our little lift here. Now I've got my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Complexion Brush. There you go. I only do these two bits with that. I'm going to get my sponge, spray that with that spray, and then we're going to go into my concealer here. Alright, I only spray it once now because it's already a little bit damp from the other side. See how we're bouncing it? We're not rubbing, we're not dragging. Now what you want to do is let this dry down a bit. So in the meantime, I can apply things like blush and maybe a little bit contour if we want. So let me add, what blush shall I use? Let's just go with this. I haven't used it. No, actually I won't use that. I'm gonna use this one. I haven't used this color yet, I don't think. This is the Dior Forever Blush Soft Filter in Bloom. This is like a Laka. What came out of my mouth right there? Okay, this is like a really nice kind of tropical peach color. Okay, now we've got my Hourglass 15 brush. There you go. High parts of the cheekbone. And you're kind of like pressing it in. So you're kind of pressing and flicking. It's actually a really nice color. Okay, now I've also got my Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick in Truffle, and I've got my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Brush. I'm just gonna go onto this here. And I'm just gonna sculpt my face a little. I want it really subtle, to be fair, so I'm just going from the top of my cheekbone. Okay, so next what I want to do is add this. I always spray out once just to make sure that I'm not getting a whole load of droplets on my face. Now we want to let this dry down, because this is really going to be able to like kind of just make sure it's settling in, like letting that last few, like letting the last layer dry down, and it's going to be so much easier for you to keep those lines at bay. So while that's actually drying down, I just want to add, I would love you to head on over to thebeautybreakfastclub.com. It is my online beauty platform, which is everything to do with beauty, health, wellness, mindset, a bit of everything, and some style in there too. So everything is written by me. I publish a new newsletter every 2 days, and it's basically covering everything that you love. I know it's going to be a place that you're going to love, because you're always going to go back every other day with new content there. It's consistent, so I never say that I'm going to post and then I don't post. It's the same as this channel, where I continuously am very loyal to you guys and consistent with my content. So I know that you guys write a lot of comments on my YouTube channels, and I do read the comments, guys. I've recently seen a couple of comments that were like, oh, she never answers YouTube comments. I just want to very quickly let you know, it is literally just myself and my husband as a team. We do not have a big team. I run this YouTube channel, another YouTube channel, my Instagram account, my TikTok account, the Beauty Breakfast Club account. I then have like all my other work, like brand stuff that I do, you know, all this kind of stuff. There is so much that I do that I cannot possibly respond to comments all the time. I reply here and there where I can. If I were to reply to all of the comments, then something's got to give. And I really would rather have all of the content going out for you and keep everything very engaging and educational for you guys. So if I end up focusing on just making sure that I'm replying to all the comments, then I have to basically delete one of my platforms, because I do not have the time to be able to do all of that. And I know you could easily say, go get a team. It's really easier said than done, trust me. Now, I don't get paid by you guys to create content for you. So you guys are getting all this free. I would really, and I really do appreciate so many of you, especially the ones who sometimes see comments from other people. And because you've been following me long enough, you actually end up responding to those comments with the answer. And it makes me so proud of you guys, because it just shows that you actually have learned so much from this channel. Like, I've seen some people comment, say, like when someone said, yeah, but you know, what does she mean by this? And someone else has commented, who I recognize, by the way. Someone else then responds to that comment saying, actually, what she means is this. She's shown it in a previous video. And honestly, it literally makes my heart melt, because I'm just like, I just feel like we've got our own family here. And a lot of you really do understand the workload that I have, and I really appreciate it. If you want comments to be really answered by me, then head to the Beauty Breakfast Club and subscribe to the paid version. Because like I said, I put everything out there for free. I have to make this run in some way for me, do you know what I mean? Because it is still a business at the end of the day. If you want your comments answered directly by me opt for the paid version of the Beauty Breakfast Club. And what that will do is it unlocks the entire site, but it also allows you to join the group chat, which I'm part of. And I'm getting to know so many of you guys where you can ask me direct questions and I will answer them directly to you. Otherwise, I do read your comments on YouTube and I try my best to answer them through videos that I have. So for example, if I see that a lot of people are commenting on, you know, how to apply foundation that lasts all day, I'll make sure that I do a video on that. Do you know what I mean? So just bear with me, guys. I'm doing everything that I can and I really love you guys and I really do appreciate the support you guys give me. So moving on, this is like dried down enough now. I think we can move on to setting. So this is where the most crucial step is making sure that you don't have anything sitting in lines. Now the way to determine this is to make sure you have your mirror up close. Actually, you can have a normal mirror, or I would highly recommend this one if you want to be like a pro. Then get a mirror that is basically magnified. Now this little mirror, I think it's a Tweezerman mirror. Yes, it is. But it's a little magnified mirror that is just amazing because it just actually shows me, yes, I haven't got a heavy base. Do you remember we did that really thin layer? So I don't have a heavy base. And I can see exactly where maybe product is sitting in lines. So let's have a look. Okay, a little bit here. Now I'm using my brush, my sponge, sorry, to just dab over, and what that does is it picks it up. Just picks all the product out of that area. Those are really the main areas. Oh, and here. For the under eyes, I will use the tip of the sponge. Very quickly now, we're going to go into this powder. I'm going to switch to my other mirror. First place I'm powdering is my under eyes. Let me explain that. Because it's the first place to crease. Your under eyes is the first place that is going to crease. There you go. Now what you can do is get your brush and you can immediately dust this off. You don't need to bake. There you go. Under eyes are done now, right? Now, the reason I like to do that immediately is because you're moving your eyes around all the time, right? And because of that, it's creating more kind of like creasing, because every time you move any area of your face, it's creasing a little bit because of the movement. And that creates the product that ends up sitting within those lines. So I don't want to I want to just basically set it the minute I've smoothed out all the product out those lines. So now that that's done, that's done. I don't need to deal with that now. So all the other areas where you have any lines is where I would suggest setting first. So we've already taken the lines out of here. Let's just press that in. And then I'm also going to just literally do my setting everywhere else that I want it. Now I'm going to get my veil brush and we're just going to dust all this off. Now that you've done that, that is literally going to stay put all day. You're not going to get creasing in any of your fine lines. It's not going to just all of a sudden look like it's settling in there because you've really addressed each area. I would say the most important part is understanding where you crease and where you get those lines. Because if you've clicked onto this video, then it's because you have noticed fine lines on your face. You have noticed makeup settling into fine lines. So I am just going to do my brows because they look just super undone. This is my Benefit Mighty Fine Brow Pen. I just think this is a really quick way to do your brows. Okay, so this is my Charlotte Tilbury brow cheat, and then I just basically do more hair strokes. I feel like today isn't really my brow day. I can usually tell that, you know, it's not happening for me. Okay, so brows are done, and really, honestly, you don't need to worry about the rest of your face. I'm just going to put a little bit of my Dual Mix Dual Miximizer. That's actually a good name, Dual Miximizer. But it's not, it's Dual Maximizer. Once you've set your face, you can go straight in with any kind of bronzer or anything you want. Or maybe you want to actually apply more kind of powder blush. I don't know. It's completely up to you. So I just want to finish this off so you can see what like the finished base actually looks like, so it's not so flat. I just like to add a bit of bronzer after because it just adds a bit of colour to my face, like in terms of like a healthy sun-kissed look. So see what I mean? You have a nice flawless base. This is not going to crease throughout the day. It is not going to settle into like pores and make it look really obvious. I really hope that you've enjoyed this today. Don't forget everything is listed in my description. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And remember, I will always answer via video, but I do read your comments. Thank you so much in advance. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell, and I will see you on the next video.